Hey, everybody. Welcome to Office Hours FM, episode number, I think it's 106.
Nice.
I think it's 106. I wanted to say 105, but I'm pretty sure it's 106. Somebody I'm sure will tell me if I'm wrong. I am your host, Carrie Dills, your clearly scatterbrained host, and today I have the one, the only, very awesome Kim Doyal. Kim, it is so great to have you back on the show.
Carrie, I'm stoked to be here. Thank you. I feel like, I don't know if you've seen that skit on Saturday Night Live where they're like, I'm a 3-peat, I'm a 5-peat. I'm like, all right, I'm making it.
You got your 2-peat. Yeah.
No, this is number,
This is 3?
No, I don't know. Look at my ego. Look, I've been on here 3 times.
Hey, well, if that's not the case, we can definitely make it happen. So we've got a great show coming up for you guys today. If you are listening live, you can tag questions for Kim on Twitter using the hashtag OfficeFM. If you're watching via Google or Google or YouTube, you can use the built-in Q&A tool that's right there on the video to ask questions, which reminds me, I need to bring up the Q&A app so that I see those questions.
I should probably open Twitter then.
Oh, you don't have to monitor it. I'll get
okay, awesome.
To you. You just sit back, relax, enjoy the podcast. And I would also, before we get started, I would love to thank our sponsors today. We got SiteLock. They are a comprehensive cloud-based website security guru, manifest giant.
Awesomeness.
Yeah, I just made that the most awkward read ever. They're going to be sponsoring. They've got some WordCamp sponsorships coming up. WordCamp Europe at the end of June. Also WordCamp Boston in July. They'll be out at WordCamp Orange County, which is going to be a fantastic WordCamp this year. But anyways, they're huge fans of the WordPress community. I thank them for sponsoring this podcast and also for being involved with WordCamps. They're awesome. So if you need any website security stuff, either cleaning up malware or just setting up good security structures around your site, go check them out at sitelock.com/office hours. I love it when they do the custom domains. That's so easy because otherwise I'm like running them. They're like way too long to read on the air. So I'll go run them through my Bitly shortener. But even that's still kind of an awkward.
It is. Bit.ly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Kim, for folks that have not listened to your podcast, have not heard of the WPChick.com, have not watched previous episodes of this podcast where I have had you on once for sure, possibly twice before.
Maybe
can you give those people a little rundown, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, what I do is so ambiguous right now, but we're going to get into that. Kim Doyal, the WordPress Chick. I fell in love with WordPress 8 years ago, grabbed the domain name before I knew what I was doing. I just knew it sounded good until WordPress kindly told me I could not use it in the URL. So it is the WP Chick. I just fell in love with WordPress and I was committed to building something online so I could be home for my kids. Got into doing websites, never my intention. I thought I was going to be a millionaire information marketer. And fast forward 8 years, I've run the gamut from outsourcing to podcast development for people to websites to information. So podcasting, kind of all the above.
I love about you though that you've tried, like you'll try anything, and not in a bad way, but in a like you make these educated moves of okay, let's research this, let's see if this sounds viable, let's try it out, let's see if it sticks, and you've had all these, I guess, things you can check off your list that.
You get clear on what you want when you learn what you really don't want.
Seriously. That's what I used to say, like when you're dating, you may not know exactly what it is you want in a mate, but you can sure as hell know what it is you don't want after a few bad dates.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, not that anyone is ever coming to the show for relationship advice. So moving along. So you're in, you just celebrated episode 100 of your podcast. Congratulations.
Thank you. I probably should have been like 150, but I'm like, hey, we hit 100. It's all good.
No, that's awesome. And I highly recommend for you guys that are listening to this show, go catch 100 or her episode 100 as she kind of talks through some of the decision making behind or the decision-making process behind some of the things that she's doing right now. And some of those we'll even get into on the show today. So Kim, actually, I had originally titled this show Content That Sells. But after listening to your podcast today, I was thinking maybe it's the stop, start, continue.
Hell yes. I love that.
Okay, perfect. So of all the things that you've been doing, let's talk a little bit about what you're stopping, what you're looking to start, and then the things you've already been doing that you want to continue on. Does that
Awesome.
sound?
That's totally great. So you want me to jump? You tell me. Want me to jump in with stopping?
Yeah, let's start with stopping.
It's actually good timing on this too, Carrie, because asked me 2 weeks ago and I would have been a pissy ranter. So I'm just going to say that.
Whew, lucky us.
Yeah, well, I think it was, that email you responded to where somebody let me know I was part of the problem and not the solution because I was promoting a scarcity plugin, God forbid. And that came on the heels of, a client contesting something through PayPal, which I won. But it was like just one of those cluster weeks where it was like the crazies all came out at once. And even as I shared a podcast interview with somebody and I had people who knew him and had a bad experience, like pinging me. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And so it was, first of all, not to get esoteric, but it was really the universe going, girl, you got to stop this shit. Sorry. And it was. And so I hit a point where I was like, I cannot continue doing client services. And, like the only service type thing I think I would ever consider doing again or still would be coaching, because it's that one-on-one and it's not me being tech support, because inevitably, I don't know if you've ever found this, but you start a client project and it's that honeymoon phase and everybody's happy and they see what you can do and they're all excited. And again, I've always been very clear, like I've got a team, I'm not a developer, but I'm a marketer. And so I can see these opportunities for them and they love it. But as soon as they don't understand something or it's not clear, they want to talk to me all the time. And I'm like, well, you're not paying for my consulting. Then it goes sideways and then I'm the hired help. And it's just, I don't know if it's my ego, but it's just not worth it anymore. And so I literally was like, I am drawing a line in the sand. I don't know where the money is going to come from. I don't know what's happening with income. I will do whatever it takes. But there comes a point where like my self-worth is worth far more than anything. And the thing is, it's tough because when you're freelancing and when you're working for yourself, it's like, yeah, but that's cash flow, right? Like, and that's how I started looking at it, because this is not the first time I've said this. But this time it's done because it's just done. But I've been there before, like, and it's more been, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And because for me, not being, the developer, it's like, I've got this team, I've got salaries, I've got a project manager. So all of a sudden, my outgoing just to meet expenses was like 10 grand a month. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like what I'm doing. I love these people, but it's just not worth it. So I'm done. I'm done with client services. I've got a few clients that were doing more because I also got into podcast stuff, doing podcasting like I done for you. And I don't know if you've experienced this. I've heard it so many times, but the more someone pays, the easier they are to work with. Right. And so that's truly been true. So I have a couple podcast clients who will maintain that stuff, or people will come to me. I'm working with another gal on maybe getting her some Facebook advertising and helping her with their content. But like we did the site and someone else is going to manage it. So, but other than that, like everybody else, it's like we're finishing and I'm wishing them the best and moving on.
So does that mean that you are also stopping having a team?
Kind of. So I still have a team because other people use them. Right. So in essence, my costs are covered now. It's something that I remember I was in this mastermind. They're like, oh, well, that's your crack. Like, go sell that. Like, that's your crack. Right. And I was like, I'm like, yeah, but I also never wanted to build an outsourcing company. That doesn't do anything for me. I've worked with these people for, like 4 or 5 years now, and so there are people that they buy a block of hours and that's great. And so my costs are covered. It's not something that I'm profiting on necessarily, but I also can use them at my, when I need them. So now I'm not getting rid of them, but the project manager, yeah, because that was hard because it was a dear friend of mine. And it was amazing. She helped me set up systems and stuff, but I'm like, if I don't have projects to manage, and it's been great because I'm helping her maybe get some other work or take some of the client stuff that she can have for herself. And I'm here as a consultant. But that's a US based salary every month that I don't have to pay. So, it's been hard because there's a part that feels like, God, that I fail, that I dropped the ball. You know what I mean? Like that I've not been able to get these things going enough to keep these people here, where I could see growing again and maybe finding different places. But, we're past the frustration now.
Yeah. We both have in our shared history, working in retail management for many years. And you were a bookstore, if I recall correctly.
Bookstore and then home goods.
Okay.
Love home goods.
And I remember towards the end, when the end was in sight, the end wasn't actually in sight, but the end quickly presented itself. Here was a job where I was energized by my customers, by my interactions with them. I loved it. Like, I mean, there were days that were bad days, but for the most part, like, it was energizing to have all of those interactions. And there came a point where all of a sudden I hated them. I hated every last one of their coffee drinking faces. And like, that's when I knew, like, oh, it's get out. Like, yeah, it's too long. When something that used to be fun and enjoyable is now something that makes you want to claw your eyes out or poke someone else's eyes out.
Yeah. Or speaking in nasty hashtags, but.
So I understand, I guess, is where I'm saying on that. Jackie asked a good question here. She says, learning to say no to opportunities when they're not a good fit. Any advice for this when cash flow is low? Man, that's like how do you say no to projects when you're like, holy crap, I got to pay my bills? I guess sometimes you do, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Good question, Jackie. And this is, Carrie and I were talking before we started recording about, there's so many different ways that you can set up recurring revenue, and had I done it 8 years ago, like with a hosting company as an example. So that's one of those things that I think people should be doing all the time. And this is the only answer I can give, and this is going to sound probably esoteric also, is you got to trust your gut. Every single friggin' time I have said no to something because I was like, oh, like this client that I went through this crazy PayPal, like I fired her once. And then I literally got an email that said, with my hairy tail between my ass, because she was apologizing, right? And I should have said, mind you, that was one of the things I got to send to PayPal, but I should have said, best of luck to you. And I was like, I knew in my gut, don't work with this person. But every single time I say no to something where I trust myself, and this is sort of that head-heart connect that for me, I can't disconnect who I am from my business or like leave it's all me. It's just all me. And so you have to say no. You have to say no, because that is the only way the opportunity is going to show up. And, it's funny you were mentioning SiteLock. I've talked with them too. And it was like, as soon as I start saying no to things, it's like, oh, okay, podcast month. This is like, it starts falling in my lap. I've got a project and I live my life from that place. Mind you, it's hard to stay in alignment with it. But, I think this is off the air too, Carrie. We're talking about that crazy week. I had a client from like 4 years ago contact me with this. No. And I stepped back and I was like, you are so out of alignment, girl, because I spun like a crazy nut with each of these. And normally I'm like, okay, well, that person's kind of cuckoo. We're not going to respond right now, right? But I mean, I was that crazy meme of Kermit the Frog typing, have you seen that? I never hit publish or send, but I was that total nut. And I was like, you have to step back. And I don't know about you, Carrie, but one of the best things that I've done for my business was this podcast, because of relationships and the connections. And so you have to reach out to people when you're in that space, whether you've got someone to run it by, because inevitably there's I can't tell you how much work I send to other people, or like I never advertised websites. It was all referral. It was all connections. It was all word of mouth. Which then I'm like, well, what could you do if you actually marketed, Kim?
Says the marketing girl to herself.
I'm great at marketing other people and other people's stuff. But so the only way I can say it, and I have to tell you, Jackie, is that I feel like that scene from Indiana Jones where, and I think it's the where he's going to get the chalice, for the love of God. I can't remember what it's called, but he has to take a step before the bridge appears. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, okay, we're jumping off without a parachute, and I know I'm going to land on my feet. I don't know how or when, but I'll get through it. So you have to trust yourself. I wish there was a more tangible, concrete answer, but we're human beings. And so you have to, that's my recommendation, is to trust and just say no. I had a mentor one time, and I literally had this on my monitor that said, no is a complete sentence. Right? Because we don't say, yeah, I'm going to come to your party because I want to, or because that would be fun. It's like, yes, I can make it, or no, I can't. Thank you. So just say no.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of no. I might have said no so many times that I've become out of touch with reality. I have to look into maybe an occasional yes here and there. Paul comments with tongue in cheek that he wishes you were more outspoken and didn't try to sugarcoat things.
It's coming, Paul. And it's funny because, and let me just say, it's part of it is, I don't know if it's sugarcoating, but I don't want to perpetuate the negativity, right? I literally have a Spotify playlist of Disney show tunes because I want to feel good. I just want to feel good. Mind you, there is a way, I will never call somebody out by name. I don't want to play that nonsense, but there is this stupidity around the internet. So this whole thing about the scarcity, right? My Kermit the Frog post that I was typing. And I was like, if you don't like this type of marketing, then you need to go live in a cave and remove yourself from modern society. Take your sensitivities. That's where I was, because it's ridiculous. Shop at Costco, scarcity, right? Anything's on scale, scarcity. It's like, we've become so overly sensitive online about everyday words, right? Do you know who Ben Settle is? Okay. Anybody who wants to get good at email marketing, you could just subscribe to him and watch the way he emails every day. And actually, I could do a commercial. I subscribe $97 a month to his newsletter that I get physically in the mail. This guy is so direct with people. And it's this, he did this whole podcast on authenticity. Why do we have to teach people to be authentic? It's gone a little to the extreme, right? It's like everyone's afraid of offending somebody. There was another thing I put on my Facebook wall. There was a comedian. Oh, you're offended? Okay. So you're offended. What? That's bye. It's like, but you offended me, and it's like, okay. It's like, I tied my shoe. Who cares? It's so irrelevant. I don't care that you're offended. It reminds me of that, change the channel, turn the show off. Don't listen to the song if you don't like it. But people get so incensed by the way other people live their life. And I'm getting a little preachy now. Sorry. I'm like, when life is going well for you and you're trusting what you're doing, I could care less. I honestly don't care. I think of myself as pretty liberal, and to each his own. I truly believe that. But it's like, just because somebody doesn't have my beliefs, they're not an idiot. I'm not ignorant enough to think that because my beliefs are this way, you're an idiot because yours are it's so crazy to me. We've become ridiculously sensitive. I think I might start less sugarcoating. I like that.
Hashtag rant. Yeah, that was a good one.
Hashtag hit it.
What's Ben's last name again?
Ben Settle, Settle. And you guys, you don't even need to, his stuff is great. And I don't know if anybody subscribes because I've never been super great at consistent emailing, but I've totally changed the tone. I don't do a newsletter. And so it was after that email, it was like, and apparently this is what's wrong with the world. That was a subject line. I'm getting more opens, more click-through rates, more engagement. It's fascinating when you just talk to people, and he sells in every single email. There's a link back. It's a business. He doesn't apologize. He likes to remove people from a list. And when he does, he blocks them from being able to subscribe again. He's like, let me make that easy for you. You're out.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just, he doesn't, and it's like, we take everything so seriously, and it's not necessary.
I think for me, I've never been very bold about asking for the sale. And then secondly, I'm a huge people pleaser. If I, and sometimes I don't care, like you, I don't care if I offended them because I can't do anything about it. But other times, I hate disappointing people or whatever. So it's tough to,
it's tough to get over that. And and I don't know if this is a male, female. Guys seem to be less sensitive to that feedback. At the same time, it's crazy, right? So I get like one negative email and 3 other people saying that was awesome, thanks, keep it up. And it's like, where do you focus? You know, it's like, this is my Jimmy Fallon, hashtag recovering Catholic, right? It's like, I can't, you know, it's like this guilt. And it's like, for the love of God, you know, and it's like, I have to rant at myself. You do this, you create free content. I'm always like, let's Skype, let's talk to him. I'm like, why, who cares? So that's why I have to come up with fake words and names to call things, because it keeps me sort of sane.
Oh my gosh, that was funny. Thank you for that. Whew, okay. If you're just joining us, I'm chatting with Kim Doyal, and we're playing the Stop, Start, Continue game. So you've talked about a couple things that you're going to stop. Let's talk about this. This could be, it's a question from Jackie, but I'm going to turn it into the game. And this could be either on the start or continue for you, but advice on starting a podcast, finding a format and a theme for it. What makes a good podcast? Because you've got a new podcast you're firing up.
I do. And having helped clients with this, so first of all, you know, when I started my podcast, I just wanted to have fun. I was like, that came off of another rant and my little manifesto where I was like, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. Clearly that didn't super stick, but I just needed to have some more fun. And I wanted to, like, my personality is a big part of who I am. It's not just what I do. And so first of all, it really needs to be something you want to do. And I had one person, I don't know if it was a review or a comment, but they're like, this isn't anything about WordPress, da 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 da. Mind you, there's all these other good reviews. And I was like, well, it's the WordPress Chick podcast. It's my show, you know, and it's kind of like, go away. Like, it's not for you. So first of all, in working with clients with that, so I told them, I'm like, you have to trust that it's going to evolve, right? And so this at one point was Genesis Office Hours, right? Your podcast? Right. So you have to trust that when you start something, it's going to shift and evolve. And I've done that with my content. I've done that with how I show up or how I talk about stuff. So go into it with the intention that you want to connect and engage and have fun. Like, and I'm a believer though in monetizing stuff. So as hard as it is to market and do that, I don't like the idea. Like, I don't have time to do a podcast just for shits and giggles. You know what I mean? It's like, I wanted it to be a traffic generator, a brand builder, a connector. I did have an intention for it. And then just, you have to bring you to it. That's it. Like, you have to bring you to it. Some people, like, I don't want something that's like wash, rinse, and repeat, wash, rinse, and repeat. And I had someone's like, you should do segments and you should do this. And I was like, have you ever listened to it? Because that's totally not how I roll. You know, it's like, I can do an hour long with 6 questions because it's going to go this way. And that's what I like about it. You know, or the fact that I'm like talking to people in my car for an hour if I want. So I needed to have fun with it. So with the podcast, and you know, what's funny is the technical stuff. I see lots of, and that's one thing I thought about doing a podcast course, like cheap, like $250, because there's so much energy and attention spent on mics. I upgraded the mic after 2.5 years, right? It was like, I've done podcasts on my phone with my earbuds. You want to go for the best quality, but that is like a set it and forget it. And it's about promotion. It's about connection. It's about engaging. And so honestly, do it with whatever you would want to listen to. Like, that's how I approached it. Every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, what would I want to know from this person? So that's like with the new podcast. I'm like, I'm kind of getting paid to learn about an industry that is so much bigger than anything I had imagined. And so that's how I approach it. And it's like, what would somebody want to know if they were talking to me? And at the same time, I'm like, then I like doing solo shows because clearly I like to talk, right? So I'm like, you know, a friend of mine bought me this shirt one time and it kind of hurt my feelings. It was like, more me, less you.
And enough about me. Let's talk about what you think about me.
And I was like, aw, like, really? I'm like, I'm kind of a giving person, but I like the stage, I guess. So I hope that answered your question, Jackie. The technical stuff, and I don't know if anybody has seen this. Have you seen the app Zencastr? And it ends at like Zencastr. It is so fantastic. You can connect it with Skype also, but it'll record 2 separate WAV files of your guest if you want. But you can also just record and send it right to Dropbox. So you don't even need to open Audition or Audacity or anything. The quality is great. So and it's free. It's in beta right now. It's totally free up to a certain point, I'm sure, but check it out. I friggin' love it because I was like, when I upgraded this, I had to get a mixer and stuff. And I was like, this is totally hurting my head. It sounds foggy. And I was like, I'm going to use Zencaster.
Okay. Last time you were on the show, you mentioned like 1 million awesome resources. I mean, like my pen was on smoking as I was trying to, write all these things down for the show notes. So you've already started today. We've got Ben's.
I'm sure I've got more.
We've got some Zencaster. Okay. So they'll keep coming. Follow up on the podcast question, the thoughts around frequency, like a weekly thing or length, or again, is that just kind of what works for you?
Well, I've consistency is important, says the girl who's missed weeks or here or there. And then there's times I was getting backlogged with interviews. I'm like, I'm going to hit 2 a week. I'm going to hit 2 a week. And so I think you have to go for a minimum consistency if you can, because people go to expect that. And in terms of length, I started doing sort of like a Kim snippet, like where I just wanted to share one thing. And I can't get that out for less than 20 minutes because if you've listened to me, sometimes I go this way and I end up back to where I was going. But again, it has to be what you want to do. And for me, I always write out the show notes. And you know what the bonus of podcasting has been for me is the writing. I have just fallen in love with writing. And I wrote a post on Medium. It was busy isn't a badge of honor. It's bullshit. Because I was tired of all the 20-somethings screaming at me to just do the fucking work. Sorry.
I love the title.
Right. And I was just like, stop it. Stop it. I get to live my life and enjoy it and create something I want. Stop screaming at me that I have to sacrifice everything. You who has no mortgage, marriage, nothing, like, don't, just shut it.
Oh, we've got somebody else chiming in that glad she's listening this week because she's thinking about starting a podcast as well. So yeah, keep these goods coming. Thoughts on, and there's only one right answer to this question.
Okay.
And
I have one more app to remind you, so don't forget. Go ahead.
Since this is a video podcast, hint, hint. What are your thoughts on video versus audio only podcast?
Video, you're going to get a little extra mileage in terms of which there is something called Tunes to Tube, which I set up, where you can upload, which I need to go back and do now, right? All the audio podcasts to YouTube with an image, whatever. And the video podcasts also will show on Apple TV, those types of things. Personally, I don't like video podcasts unless I can get the audio too, because I'm always listening to audio on the go. Like I am the most antisocial shopper. Like my sister at Christmas time, I'm in the pet store, like I'm listening to a podcast or something, and this woman comes up and is like hitting me with her cart. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "That's all right." She hits me again. I'm like, "It's my sister." She's all, "Would you pay attention?" It was my sister, and she's like, "Hello, do you look around when you're out and about?" And I'm like,
nice.
No, this is my time. Like, so whatever you want to do. And we were joking. It's like, if I was to do video, I would have to do my hair and makeup all the time. And maybe that's part of me transitioning into showing up a different way. But so I'm like, no, I just want to do audio. It's just a preference.
Living proof that you don't have to do hair or makeup. Now, doing those things might help get more mileage.
Well, no, but that's just it. And the funny thing is, it's all in your own head, right? Like most people are like, we just want to talk to you. And so it's just me, I don't know if I'll tell myself it's battling having to have gotten ready all those years in retail. There's ironing and like my hair is a lot to do. So, but I wanted to mention also, do you use Clamor?
I do not.
Are you aware of it?
I've heard of it.
Okay. So for everybody listening, and it's just Clamor, it's a phone app and there's a web app too. But the beauty of Clamor for a podcast is that you can pull out like a 24-second soundbite and you can put the text in, you can dictate the image, and you can dictate the click-through link, and it will play in the Twitter feed or the Facebook feed, the audio clip, right? And so Clamor, and I know, and it's funny because like when I interviewed the founder, I was like, oh my gosh, you could do this with content. You could create sound bites. And just like everything else, it was like, if someone tells me to use Snapchat one more time, I'm going to punch them. I'm like, I don't have time for one more thing. But Clamor, so there's all these different ways that I think for podcasting that you can connect and put yourself in front of another audience.
Excellent. And man, you guys are asking Well, Kim, I don't know if you knew it, but I have really fantastic listeners on the
I would
show.
expect nonetheless.
We would expect nothing less. And they happen to be asking some great questions today that flow right in tune with the conversation. The vendor asks, is using podcasting to funnel sales or affiliate income or additional revenue, has that worked for you? Another time, because earlier you said monetizing podcasts, like, we're not just here to show our curly hair. We're So beyond sponsorship, have you found any successful way to directly monetize a podcast? And then what about those other streams that Devender mentioned?
Yeah, yes to all of them, actually. So a great example, and this, which we can touch on, but is sort of the direction I'm going in, right? So with all the affiliate and the CPA stuff that I'm going to be stepping into. So here's a great example. So when I interviewed Giancarlo, he's got a mastermind. So that's right. That's one thing he does. And it's because he's living proof. They've got all these examples of what they've done in that space that is so foreign to most people in this space. Like, it's bigger than internet marketing and blogging and stuff. I had no idea. And I'm talking like media buying and stuff. Anyways, so I interviewed Johnny. And for anybody who's looking for this other revenue, so it's like, connect with Johnny. Do you know, in 1 week, I've had 5 people click through to talk to him about his program. I get a nice affiliate commission for something like that. So that's one. I mean, and then obviously I've tested sending people directly to a coaching link to talk to me, just testing that link. And it just has to be stuff, track. Pretty link, bit.ly, whatever you want to do. But it's finding those ways to send people. And if you don't have a sponsor while you're building it, let your own product be the sponsor. So, it's one of the things, I think I mentioned it in the 100th episode, is I'm working on a project with Web Factory, and they've done tons of plugins stuff, which is great because I clearly can't. But I was like, this is great. At a certain point, that project is going to sponsor my podcast, and it's going to be driving that home all the time. So whether you have your own ebook or your course or something, it is, be your own sponsor, first of all, because you're teaching people that there's going to be a sponsor, but drive people back to your own products all the time. And it depends on the format. Like when I interview, I'm like, it's all about the guest. Go to their product, go to their site. That's totally it. It's just a value add. And so then the bonus of that is that when you do, ideally, the non-haters are going to be like, oh, great, you have something to sell. Let's check it out. So the affiliate stuff is hands down great. And it depends too, because you could also look at getting a solo sponsor. So as an example, if I wasn't friends with Johnny, I could have said, look, I'm going to give you this platform. I'm going to do X amount of promotion through CoSchedule, which I adore, through any of these tools. And you can either buy that spot, buy those links. I mean, you can just as like selling webs, an ad on your site. But I think initially I would go for having fun and the rest kind of drops into place. But affiliate stuff, absolutely. Every single time I've had a plugin or somebody on, and I'm sharing their stuff, but they're always like, here, be an affiliate, here, be an affiliate, here, be so that, and it's keeping it in the constant rotation. But I mean, Thrive themes, I literally did not promote Thrive until start this last promotion really was their launch. But other than that, it's just creating content around stuff I use. And it was so easy. And then people listen to the developer. And so I think affiliates is hands down probably the easiest way to monetize a website a podcast until you have your own products. I hope that answered that.
And to be clear, this would be monetizing via your show notes, because on air, you're probably not reading.
No, but you could still do a snippet, like a commercial, right? Just like you have a sponsor, like you did in the beginning. What if you said the show's brought to you by, scarcity plug, and if you wanted it, right, you go to the wpchick.com/scarcity, check it out. So you can. To me, it's something that if you wanted to be driving it that way, absolutely. And go for stuff that converts, right? I mean, why Thrive works so well, besides the fact that I love their stuff? They are conversion experts. These guys test every time they share something like, oh, we added an animation to this light box and it increased our conversions 29%. I'm like, change the animation, try this. And so I see results. So that's, because I don't want to be a conversion expert, but I will do what I'm told to do.
Here's a kind of a side, muted myself, a side question on that. A lot of the success of these things requires being on top of kind of your numbers, if you will, knowing what's working and what's not, and looking at stats and the data to see that. Do you have any sort of discipline's the wrong word, but like, how do you manage the time that you're spending looking at your data? And when you look at it, what exactly are you looking for? Any tips there?
Yeah. So besides hitting refresh and logging into affiliate accounts, yeah, there's a couple things. So like with Thrive, it's very easy for me to see because they've got data in the dashboard, right? And so I can always see, and I use Pretty Link for everything. So it's a great example is when my initial interview with Johnny, they hadn't sent me the affiliate stuff. And but I was like, you better set up this Pretty Link to track this. So, I mean, that's super simple. Within like 3 days, I had 30 unique hits just from that one button in the post. So it's like, the afternoon that I put the affiliate link in, sure enough, next day I got a referral. I was like, so now mind you, this is to go into a funnel. I didn't make some big sale. But that is out there forever. So just as an FYI on that. So the data piece, I honestly think you have to baby step your way into it. I'm not a fan of Google Analytics either. But there's a few different tracking tools. I started using one when I started testing CPA marketing called ClickMagick, and it gets a little squirrely. Like you got to kind of wrap your head around it because it was like creating the initial link, an exit pop, then doing an email link, and then you set stuff on rotators, between multiple offers so that they're constantly. And I have to tell you, I had added a welcome mat to my site, like 250 additional subscribers in the shortest window of time, like less than a few weeks, just by adding that. No additional action. So where people say there's this, I don't want to do pop-ups and all this stuff, they work. And you set it to say, I'm not going to show this for 7 days, whatever. So that's one. And again, so SumoMe, I see the stats. So what's great is that most of the tools I use have those. So it's just sort of this regular, I would love to tell you, I was like, which I'm going to have to be with this new space that I'm going into. It's all data. So that is huge, but it's called ClickMagick. And what was great is most of my conversions were coming from the exit pop. Now, I have to tell you, this blows me away because, this is part of like where we're going, right? It's like, I wanted to create some income that doesn't require Kim Doyal, the brand, whatever, like me creating 2,000-3,000 word posts and videos. I was like, I want to get some revenue flowing that is kind of fun. And I understand this space now because I've been doing paid traffic for a little bit. And so I was floored. They literally go to this basic landing page and it was, want to find out that a quick little blurb. They go to close out, the exit pop-up shows up and it converts. And I was like, to me, that's just dumb. Like, did you really just change your mind in 5 seconds? But they do. Right? And and I don't mean like the person's dumb, but it just seems like it just doesn't logically make sense that somebody would be like, oh, now that's a good offer, right? Like after 3, literally they go to close it. It's like, hey, and this is again where I was talking like that scarcity. It's human psychology. And I spent a lot of time when I hired this Facebook ad agency at the beginning of the year, going backwards to fundamental direct response marketing and copy and human psychology that is like, goes back to Mad Men days, right? Of this is why this stuff works, because we're humans. There's innate things that transition regardless of it's 1950 or 2016, that why do you think FOMO exists, right? Oh, nobody wants to miss out. So testing those things, and I was floored. I was like, how many sales have I missed from not having an exit pop-up on other things? So you have to be willing to test it. And I think more so than the tactical test, it's like test outside of your comfort zone where you're saying like, you don't want to be too pushy. And I'm like, screw it. I'm emailing as often as I can. and that's in my head. I don't say that to people, but I'm like, Kim, get over yourself. Just talk to people.
Yeah, I've started including in my emails that go out, or more frequently in my emails that go out, like a PS. If you're sick of hearing from me or find this wildly offensive, just unsubscribe. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Especially since I'm paying for you to be on my list. If you don't want to be here, you're welcome to get off.
For your privilege.
Paul asked a good question that probably other people, other listeners have too. When you say exit pop, we're talking about when somebody moves their mouse to exit out of the browser, that is the actual trigger.
Correct.
For popping, or the pop-up with the opt-in. Let's see. Okay, so we just talked a little bit about growing your email list with pop-ups like on your website. As far as your podcast goes, how have you used that to be a list builder?
Not as diligently probably as I should have. And again, Thrive has some podcast funnels where you can send people directly to it. I just have shared stuff on the site. I'm like, hey guys, go here. I've got this, that kind of stuff. But you can do that. But here's the thing where I get a little bit I don't know, like this is where you got to make a decision because too many calls to action and people aren't going to do anything, right? And so on air, you can't, it's different, to say, oh, I'm going to have the links in the show notes when you're talking about a tool or a reference or a book or something, right? But if you want a clear call to action, you got to make a decision in terms of, do you want them to leave a review? Do you want them to go opt in? So you have to figure out which element of that. So I think podcasting can be a list builder. I have not been diligent about it, nor do I think it is probably, I think it's a bigger relationship builder. So again, even if you have, it only adds 100 subscribers, say every 2 months, those are like your people, those are the people that choose to listen to you and take you with them. I'm like, they're just this diehard, there's a connection there. So have 100 of those people than 1,000 random people, if that makes sense. So you can send them directly to a funnel, but again, one call to action. I wouldn't do a whole lot more than that. So take a look at, again, Thrive. You would think I work for them, I swear, but I don't. But they've got some great funnels. And you can set it up so that it drives them to a lead magnet. There's a recent episode or there's a subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, whatever. And I've gone back and forth with the show notes in terms of having a sidebar with the iTunes, Stitcher, whatever. And then I'm like, I just want the content. So I play with it. I don't know that I am super diligent about even looking at reviews and stuff, to be honest with you. I mean, I appreciate them and I see them and I thank people, but it's like, it doesn't drive me is all, because I'm just so above that. I'm just kidding. I love them. I really do love them. But it's like, I get more like, oh yeah, I got to go check those out.
So are you using Thrive then for your pop-ups? Like that's part of what they're doing?
Yeah, I use Thrive Leads. I use the content builder for landing pages. And I just tested the scarcity thing and it was so easy to set up. And they have a headline optimizer too, which is super easy. You literally just put in a second headline and it'll automatically split test it for you when you share your content. And I was like, wow, that one won. And you just pick the winner and it sets it.
Very
super
cool.
Easy. Yeah, I should tell them I need a job. I'm just kidding.
Have them sponsor your podcast, for crying out loud.
I'm telling you.
And Paul was asking that question. Paul, I use Opt-in Monster on my site, but there are a number of different plugins. That happens to be one that I like. Let's see. Oh, well, we've kind of gotten, folks are enjoying hearing about the podcast stuff because that's what we're getting, the podcasting and affiliates. Lots of good questions here. We got one. What types of content are most successful on your blog in terms of traffic and affiliate revenue?
For me, visual editor, WordPress, which don't go everybody writing about WordPress visual. I'm just kidding. So
I gotta cut the show short. I gotta post the right.
I gotta go do some. So, and I was thinking about, I'm like, I should do like an ultimate where I just talk about a bunch of them. For me, WordPress visual editors, because again, my audience is not people who want to go code their own sites, who want to do developing. They want stuff that's easy, that's clean, that's, fun. And so that's who I talk to. So hands down, I talk about Thrive because it surprised me. I remember 2013, maybe, being on Facebook and I saw this video with Shane and the visual builder and I was like, what? Like it was a game changer for me. And I just fell in love. And that's how I've always fallen into stuff. So I would love to tell you I think I'm being more strategic now with my site, but it was kind of like when I first started writing about Genesis, I just fell in love with it and started talking about it. My videos sucked. They made people dizzy, whatever, but it was, somebody actually told me that. I was like, you need to be nice. But so from that perspective, for me, it's, I seriously look at products now and I have no problem sharing great free stuff. I love that too, but it's a business and the site, when I told somebody the amount of traffic I get, they're like, you should be making like 20 grand a month with that site. I was like, well, I'm not. So, so then you start saying at the same time, you don't want to take away from how you show up and how you do things authentically. For me, it's visual builders. And I think if you're going to go down that affiliate path, look at your audience again. And I have seen this time and time again, whether I talk to Matt Medeiros, right? Amazing guy, great plugin, but it depends on who you're targeting. I think that marketers will hands down spend way more money to solve a problem than somebody who it blows me away. Like $37 a year for this plugin, you know, I spend $100 a month on a paper newsletter, but it can make me money. And so if you're solving a problem that can help somebody make money, it's different. So if you talk about those things that are going to help people to scale a business, to be more profitable, one of those things. So there are those tools that, you know, that they might be a great affiliate commission, but if it doesn't solve enough of a problem for your audience, you know, is that the energy you want to, you know, you want to spend on creating content? Did I answer that question?
Man, that was an excellent answer. Like, I'm going to rewind and just listen to that. Not now while we're on the air. I'll do it on my own time. But no, that's great advice, to know what your audience is wanting, and then find something that's solving their problems. An interesting point too, that you think marketers are willing to pay more for a solution. And I think in the WordPress space, there's so much DIY, at least in the well that myself and probably a lot of the listeners are in. We're technical, we're creating products for other technical people. And so there's definitely, that's a little less willingness to part with money, or maybe understanding how an expense can turn into something profitable for them.
Well, and do you see sort of the irony of that is, it's like you want to get paid for your own value. Right. And so to go back down the esoteric wagon, it's like if you're not willing to look at stuff as an investment, or, you know, something that can return something for you, I mean, that's kind of the energy you bring to stuff. And I'm not saying, like, trust me, the JV Zoo crowd, I was like, you know, there's a whole, like, I really thought, I was like, I should do a series on all the crap I bought through JV Zoo to see if it's still out, to see if it's still working, whatever. But at the same time, like, you know, who I think is a great example are the guys at Beaver Builder. They solved a problem for themselves, and huge, great product. I mean, they're amazingly wonderful, fun, great people. I could not be happier for them, but it was like they solved a problem, even though they were in that space and that wasn't really what they were doing, but it's that solving a problem. And, you know, it's kind of like I don't think I've been to a WordCamp since I saw you in the city. And it has nothing to do with not wanting. I'll go if I can connect with people I want to connect with, but that's not my audience. Like, that's not, my audience isn't going there. Or like, even the few that I'd been to had been more like blogging tracks or whatever. And it's like, well, I want to learn about marketing. I want to make more money. And that sounds greedy. That's not where I'm coming from. I want to have fun doing it, enjoy it, but like, time is limited, right? So it's like, I'm going to go somewhere where I can hang with friends, or I can be with my audience who I can potentially build a relationship with and sell them something. That sounds so harsh, but I swear I'm not Gordon Gekko or Jordan Belfort. What's the guy from Wolf of Wall Street? Yeah, I'm like, that's not me.
You're not just raining dollar bills and rubbing other people's faces in it. No, I totally get where you're coming from, and we want to enjoy what we do and make a living doing it. It's not
right.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And I know that you have a word that you really like is smarmy, and that you try not to be smarmy when you do affiliate sales and all that kind of good stuff. So yes, you show up, and you show up well. I hope that it does see you making your $20K a month at some point in the near future.
I do too.
So you bring up I wouldn't mind making $20K a month on affiliate revenue. Anyway, sorry, that was a side thought. Yeah, you let me know when you hit that, and then I'm just gonna.
I will.
Duplicate articles of your content. Just kidding. Conferences. You mentioned WordCamps. We've talked about on the show on previous episodes before, kind of the need to. WordCamps are great, by the way. I am a huge proponent. I'm an organizer of my local WordCamp. So
I'm not knocking them, by the way. I don't want to.
This is zero knocking WordCamps, but as people in the WordPress community, we get sort of myopic in terms of the voices we're listening to, the articles we're reading, our news sites, our resources, and going to a WordCamp just sort of perpetuates all of that. It's not getting out of our comfort zone.
Mhm.
Well, for some people, I understand that is leaving the house is getting out of the comfort zone. But so going to conferences where you can either find the audience that you want to sell to or learn, like you're saying, learn
Mhm.
whatever skill it is you're wanting to learn. This was the biggest preamble ever into the question. The very basic question I'm going to ask you, but for your space, what are the conferences that you found that have been most beneficial?
Oh, good question. I haven't, I've done a lot of like private mastermind events that were helpful. I would like to hit maybe Affiliate Summit West next year. Or like I've been to traffic and conversion, but here's the thing too. Like I also get, like I traveled a lot last year and it was great, but it friggin' wore me out too. And there's an element of like I need to just chill a little bit before I get back into it. And then it's like you kind of forget all these great things you did. And so like even with traffic and conversion, it's like I don't need to go learn 50 other traffic methods if I haven't mastered this one, right? So and that's kind of where I'm at. And so I would like to attend some of those. And there's affiliate world summits like in China and Europe, and they're big. And it's just, I think it would be a fun experience to see how big this world is. And again, it's kind of this and we're compartmentalizing. Like I've got the WordPress Chick, the brand, the podcast, what I'm doing there. And then I've got this behind the scenes stuff that I'm starting to play with and have fun with. So I think from a learning perspective, because here's the other thing, I think maybe it's the point I'm at in my life, like the guy that I'm working with, they're on track to hit 8 figures. I'm like, I don't want to work that hard. Like I really, like I want a good income. I want a quality of life. I want to go cool places and connect with great people. And I was always driven, like I want to be the star, right? Like I like to be on stage and stuff. And now I'm like, the need for external validation is gone. And I don't know. So in terms of conferences, I just think go to connect and have fun, or know that you're going to work on one thing. Like again, so digital marketer is actually doing like an e-commerce type of conference in the fall now. And I've got a juicing site because I like to juice that I'm going to test that space. Mind you, I don't want to get into, fulfillment or shipping, or whatever, but I'm testing a niche site in something that I enjoy because I can't just go do random things, like in terms of a full site. But so it would be helpful maybe to go to that. But in terms of conferences, I don't know. Like I have no desire to go to social media marketing world or whatever. And it feels like I sound like this total antisocial person. I just like connecting with people I know. Like Troy Dean, anybody listening, is going to be in San Francisco at the end of July. So we're going to host a party in the city. He got GoDaddy to sponsor it. Just network, no teaching, just let's hang out, have a few drinks, have fun.
Okay, I've been working on my impersonation. Hey there, I'm Troy Dean, WP Elevation. We're here to elevate your business. I've got some work to do on it, but I'm practicing in front of the mirror.
He gives me new words every time I talk to him. Well, I'm chuffed for you. I'm all, what is chuffed? I like that.
I don't know whether chuffed is, I should be
like,
sad that I chuffed you or happy that I chuffed you.
I'm chuffed for you. Like I'm happy
or
for you.
Embarrassed that I chuffed you.
I'm like, that's a verb, or we're using it as I don't know which way to use it, but it's a good word.
Man, we could really take this off the rails, but we're gonna hop on.
We should do a nighttime one with some beer. That would be fun.
There you go. We talked about after office hours.fm. Okay, we got a few minutes left here together. So if you have any more questions for Kim, or if you've asked one that I missed, go ahead and bump it again up the queue so I see that. And in the meantime, also really wanted again to thank SiteLock for being our sponsor today. If you need any website security solutions or malware cleaned up, they are a global leader in website security solutions, and they actually have over 1 million WordPress sites in their pocket, in their docket, in their. This is weird. Let's just say that they do what they do really well, and lots of people trust them and use them. You can check them out at sitelock.com office hours, and they're sitelock.com/office hours. Guess who's never going to sponsor my podcast again after that read? Wow. Okay, so we talked about stop, start, some content. We got lost on the starting and continuing. We kind of melded them, but goodness, anything on your radar that we haven't talked about that you want to lay out? Or
Well, yeah, so I'm working on I think it SaaS plugin actually with somebody. So I'm really excited about that. Hopefully that'll be out in the fall. And again, it came from why isn't this here? I want this solution. So that's going to be fun. And they do development support. I get to write, create, whatever, do fun stuff. So no, I would just say to anybody, like, what has hit me the most in the last year and a half, and I've invested all this money in masterminds and mentors and all this stuff is, and it sounds really obvious, but there's so many little things that you can do to have recurring cash flow. And to set that up, it allows you to pursue the passion stuff. And like, I always thought it was a disservice. While I had amazing experiences, I had, being around people who were doing 6 figures a month consistently changes your mindset. And I'm not saying that has to be the drive, but all of a sudden it's like, there are people in the world who will pay you what you believe you can provide and the value. But it's just like getting those cash flow things up and trusting your own bandwidth. Like, I've started unfollowing people on Facebook, just like, I know the space I want ease in my life. And so doing that, it's like, I don't want to give up this brand and everything, but please stop telling me to guest post and create more epic content when it's not. Like, it's time, right? And so, like, anybody listening from the get-go, I would say, can I get some affiliate stuff going? Can I get that going so it's recurring? And I've had people, oh, but it takes time. I'm like, the time's going to pass whether you do it or not. So set up some of those things, and then test something. Some of the, like, I had no idea that advertising and media buying and see, like, it's such a huge world. It's almost overwhelming. But it's like, if you can find that one thing that allows you to continue pursuing what makes your heart sing, set that up first. It will make the rest of your life easier. It just will.
Dang, that's such good advice that we should probably just end on that amazing note. I kind of wish, I think we could keep on going for another couple of hours here, but
like, that was a really fast hour.
people might need to get back to work. And I know you have a lunch date. I know you didn't go fixing your hair for me, for your friend, your lunch date.
I would have done it for you anyways. Because you don't see me on camera often.
Oh, well, I went to a whole lot of trouble for you today to look my personal semi-best. Kim, thank you so much. It is seriously, I always enjoy chatting with you. I feel like I just feel like I've known you a million years.
Me too. We got to go shopping for Chucks again.
I know. I could use a new pair.
Thank you so much for having me, Carrie. I do. I love chatting with you, and it's fun. And yeah, I'm excited to see where you're going.
So if people want to follow up with you online, is your Twitter at Kim Doyal? Is that the best place to get?
Doyal. I'm on Facebook a lot too. Yeah, and you guys, I'm serious. Like, I always tell people, I'm like, email me, let's Skype. Like, and I'm like, I'm happy to talk to people, like, just to chat. Like, it's all good. Like, connect with me anywhere.
Sweet. All right. We might take you up on that. We probably will take you up on that.
I hope so.
Thanks to everyone who tuned in today. I would love, if you have not already gotten your copy of the of our Office Hours FM 100th episode anniversary ebook. It's freaking awesome. Go grab that at officehours.fm/ebook. And yeah, with that, we will say thanks, guys, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Carrie.
Bye.